dirty and clean. I could.
Hi everyone, how are we today? As you can see, it is the subscriber's choice winner, and what won by popular demand. This pretty much blew all the choices out of the water. This is, of course, Tuscan Leather. Tuscan Leather was introduced in 2007. Um, it will cost you anywhere between $195 upwards of $400 to pick up one of the Tom Ford Private Blend fragrances. There's a 50 mil, the 100 mil, and then of course the big old 4.8 flacon. So, I suppose we should dip into the notes. Now, like most other Tom Ford Private Blend fragrances, it's actually somewhat difficult to find an actual note breakdown. The easiest one is Tobacco Vanille. That's like the only one I've actually seen so far where there's a legit note breakdown. Um, Tuscan Leather, though, there isn't one on base notes once again. Um, so basically, I'm going to go from what my nose tells me again for this review. So when I first apply the fragrance, which I'm going to right now for you all to see the sprayer, what's interesting to me is, and I'm not the only one that thinks this because I thought it was very interesting that I was picking up this kind of smell. So I went on Base Notes and Fragrantica to see if anybody else was writing comments saying that they smelled this in the beginning. But in the beginning, I get like a gasoline or an oily sort of remnants smell. So say you're a mechanic, right? Or you've at least been working on your car and you got all the oil all over your hands and maybe a little bit of gasoline, and you wash your hands in the sink or whatever, but you can still smell, even though you use soap, you can still smell the remnants of um, the oil and the gasoline on your hands. That's exactly what it reminds me of because it's very faint. It's not like pure gasoline or oil or anything like that. But it reminds me of, oily hands or oily clothes, even just kind of dirty and oily, with a really pungent, fine leather smell. And I'm thinking like brand new leather jacket, and not soft leather either. Don't think soft leather gloves like in Cure Beluga. I'm talking like raw leather, potent leather. And actually, I used to tool leather with my grandfather when I was younger, and this smells exactly like straight up real leather, like real tooled leather. Um, that's what it completely reminds me of. Also, my father had, I think it was a 1966, something like that, Mustang. Kind of reminds me of the smell of the older muscle cars, the interior, the leather interior. Really nice, potent kind of leather smell. So yeah, that's the kind of leather you're going to get out of it. And raspberry. And the raspberry isn't like jammy or anything like that, but it's a little sweet. It's not too sweet, especially in the beginning. Um, and basically progressively throughout the life of the fragrance, it just becomes that raspberry and the leather tones itself down, and the leather kind of become one. So at first it's like, the leather's up here, raspberries in the background a little bit, and in between you got like the oily kind of smell. Well, then they kind of even out, and then there's no more dirty smell to it at all, and it's combined both leather and raspberry. So I absolutely love raspberry in my fragrance, first of all, as long as it's not synthetic. So like Diesel Feel for Life has a raspberry note that's very dominant, along with the licorice. Um, I can't really think. Oh yeah, Mark Burley, Charles Street also has. It's very, 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 very similar to Tuscan Leather. Only difference is really it's not quite as potent leather, and there's an added coffee note and some pepper. So if you want a little bit more complex leather, that's actually actually a lot cheaper. Mark Burley Charles Street you can get for about $80 off Lucky Scent. This, if you find it for a bargain, you could at least pay $150. Um, so, in case you're interested in a fragrance that smells like this, that's a better bang for your buck. Check out Mark Burley, Charles Street. But anyways, continuing on with the way it smells, if I can speak. Um, Basically, this raspberry note stays in check. It never gets too sweet to me, and the leather never, becomes too dominant. They're working together very well in the fragrance, and that's why I love it so much. When you get a Tom Ford private blend fragrance, you're basically going to get something that's minimalistic. It's basically the same thing throughout the whole fragrance. There really is no middle notes with any of them. I think that the only one that I ever gained any real development on was Tobacco Vanille. It does some weird things with my skin. Every other Tom Ford fragrance that I own that's a private blend is very, very simple. But the thing is, most of us, we purchase fragrances off those top notes that we're really impressed with. Um, as a consumer, that's what we do. Although, a lot of us at this point test fragrances for days and then figure out if we like it enough to purchase it. But the only thing with Tom Ford private blend fragrances is usually you're going to get top notes and then the rest of the fragrance after like 15-20 minutes. So with this, you're going to get an oily sort of accord, leather, and raspberry for like 20 minutes. And then after that, it just becomes raspberry and leather. And progressively, it gets a little sweeter. Not too sweet, though, because this is not a sweet fragrance. And the raspberry and the leather they work very well together, and they stay in check. So that's what you're looking at. Now, this fragrance lasts and lasts on my skin, but it does become closer to the skin after probably hour or two. So you're looking at 2 hours of really good projection, and then after that, it gets a little closer to the skin, which is good because you don't want to be too potent. Leather is already a somewhat daring type of fragrance to be wearing, anything with leather. So you don't want to choke people out with that in the first place. Anything daring, you don't really want to add, that added obnoxious, too many sprays kind of factor to wearing the fragrance. You kind of want to keep in check. And I use 3 sprays with this personally. I do one on the neck, and then one on each wrist. That's it. That's all. That's good. So I have a quick little story for you. I was on a binge for leather. I was looking for the perfect leather scent for me because I was really, 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 really enjoying leather in the fall. So, fall, winter, perfect time for leather-based fragrances. What I've come to find out about myself is I love potent leather. Potent leather. If I'm doing leather, it's going to be potent all day long. So some of my favorites that I've come across that I thought I would share with you are Tuscan Leather being my favorite leather-based fragrance, and there is no way around it. I tested this fragrance about a year ago, maybe a little bit more, and then came back to it a couple months after I tested it for the first time, and I was like, God, I love this stuff. I got to see if I can find a deal on it, because $195 for 50 mils is a little expensive. I'll be the first to admit it. And I came back to it, and I was like, I have to have a bottle of this. I absolutely love it. It's amazing. It's gorgeous. And it was my favorite leather scent that I had found. So basically, I knew already going into my little leather binge that I found the leather that I wanted, that I loved. But I wanted to kind of, somehow, not pay the $195, so I was looking for a different leather that would be a little bit cheaper. So, first fragrance I went to was Cure Plein Fleur by Healy. Now, Cure Plein Fleur didn't do it for me. It's a very well-balanced fragrance, but it's like a leathery floral, if that makes sense. It's definitely masculine, but it's once again, it's like fine leather, soft leather. It's not potent leather, and it really actually reminded me a lot of Fahrenheit by Christian Dior. So that was a no-go for me. Then I checked out Mark Burley's Charles Street, which I came very close to purchasing. I did not purchase it, but I tested it and tested it and tested it. I really, really enjoyed it. But once again, it reminded me of this, and I wanted this. I wanted Tuscan Leather, and there was just no substitute for it. So I went on to a few other leather fragrances. Knees 10, great stuff, a little too dated for me. And, of course, Mona de Orio's Cure. Now, that was my runner-up, okay? I liked Cure way better than I like Mark Burley Charles Street, even though Charles Street's very close to this. Cure was a very animalistic leather fragrance, smoky as hell. Loved it. And that's what I was looking for. So I was trying to dodge paying this price tag, but I just couldn't do it. Plain and simple, the best leather fragrance for me on the market today. Best. For me personally. I also love Cure Beluga, but it's not this type of leather. It's much softer. Okay, so let's go back to this fragrance because that's the topic at hand. Tuscan Leather. Versatility with this. In my opinion, if you're going to wear a potent fragrance such as this, something that's, like I was saying and describing to you, a potent leather, then you need to be confident that you're wearing something that you enjoy and that will help others enjoy it as well. So, in my opinion, versatility with this is anything goes. Because you already have to have a certain amount of confidence in yourself to wear this type of fragrance. After that, I think anything goes with this type of fragrance. So, Tuscan Leather, you can wear suited up, you can wear casually, you can wear out to dinner, you can wear to school, you can wear to the movies, wherever you want. It can be a very elegant type fragrance because leather speaks, to me, masculine and sophisticated. But it's also very casual because leather is pretty daring. So maybe some people wouldn't want to be trying to pull off Tuscan Leather when they're all suited up at something like a wedding or something. They want to wear something that's a little more crowd-pleasing. So any which way works with this fragrance. I think the versatility with this is 10 out of 10. As long as you can pull off Tuscan Leather to begin with, anything goes with it. So I'm going to show you the bottle again really quick. Here we go. This is a 50 ml Tuscan Leather Tom Ford. Once again, Tom Ford on the top here. This is the sprayer. And I actually don't have a box for this. I bought this off of a guy off eBay about a month ago. And, this is what the boxes look like anyways. It would be resting in this like that. Just in case you have not seen a Tom Ford Private Blend bottle and box. So, Tuscan Leather, continuing on. Versatility is great. Projection with this, like I said, it does get closer to the skin, but for the first 2 hours, it's projecting amazingly. Every penny that goes into this fragrance, into purchasing it, is worth it because you really only need up to 3 sprays. Even 1 spray would be good if you plan on wearing this for only a couple hours. Everyone's going to smell you for that couple hours with just 1 spray. Projection, longevity. Okay, with this, it lasts me all day long. So I'm talking when I was testing this out for the past 3 weeks now that it's been like every other day I've been wearing this because I somehow just knew that this was going to be a subscriber's choice winner. So anyways, when I was testing this out, I really found that it doesn't really seem to go away on my skin. I have to wash it off. I mean, eventually it would, but I'm not going to sit there and not take a shower for days at a time. But it was lasting, I could still smell it on my skin. Very little tinge of raspberry and leather left over on my skin after 24 hours. So I'd wear it at 5 in the morning to go to work, and then, I'd go to sleep and still smell it, and then wake up the next morning and still smell it. Even though it becomes very close to the skin as far as projection after the initial couple hours, the longevity on it was beastin'. So that also indicates that it's a great purchase because you're getting great longevity out of it, pretty good projection, and it's just quality. The ingredients are quality. This is the best leather fragrance, in my opinion, hands down. Hands down. So, do I think that women can pull this off? Is it unisex? Is it for men? For women? What is it? I think that this is strictly a masculine fragrance. Sorry, ladies. Of course, you do what you want. Whatever your prerogative is, go for it. But I honestly think the best type of crowd this is going to go for is almost any age, I want to say, because if you can pull this off, then you can pull it off. 20 and up, let's just stick to that, because high schoolers, I mean, come on, you don't really want to be dishing out the money for this. But anyone that wants to be depicted as, a masculine, elegant dude, that's it. I really don't see this being feminine in any way, shape, or form. It is not. It is potent, masculine, brute, okay? In my opinion. But like I said, do as you wish. So overall, the scent is a 10 out of 10 for me. I forget about it. This is number 2. My second favorite Tom Ford fragrance. Only beat out by Tobacco Vanille, which I adore. Tuscan Leather is a 10 out of 10 in my eyes, and I absolutely adore it. I think that everyone should check it out if you're interested in a leather fragrance, and definitely give it a chance. I know it's a big, price range, $150, $200 for 50 mils, but in my opinion, worth every little penny. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will talk to you all later.